You work with a lot of companies that do very focused local marketing, as you mentioned, franchises, right? So you have like a restaurant in a local community and you're marketing very much to that local community. So from what you've seen, what are some of the keys to getting the most ROI from that kind of very locally focused type of marketing?
Yeah, well, think about, especially for, whether it's an independent local restaurant or part of a chain or a franchise, it's still that local level, right? So every community is really different, and having a deep understanding of what matters to those customers in those communities has the greatest impact. Because if you're putting out blanketed messaging, or if you're, you don't have the ability to put out creative messaging and reaching the people where they are online and where they want to be reached for your community, then you won't really have as much of an impact. And sometimes it takes having the right, the knowledge, understanding those customers, but also the technology and just some of the local insights, whether that's through Google Analytics or social listening, to understand what your customers want in the community where you are.
Okay. That makes total sense, right? The more you know your customers, the better able you're going to be to connect with them and engage them and all that stuff. How much leeway? Well, I guess the answer to this depends on the kind of business and the franchise,
Yeah.
right? I'm thinking like, let's say, I'm a McDonald's franchisee. I imagine that they have very strict brand standards. Of course they do. And the way that you market locally is going to be according to some very tried and true, rules. And in other franchises, that might be, various levels of that. Like, how much leeway have you seen in the companies that you work with in terms of how creative they can be in their local
Yeah, I
marketing?
mean, it varies greatly. Every company obviously has different, brand guidelines in place and regulations and rules. But, for the most part, what Hyperlocology does and what any local business has the opportunity to do is to put out messaging, that is not only brand safe, but that is, like I said, relevant to their community. So, what our platform enables people to do is have the brand still maintain some control, because, they have pre-approved assets that each local community and each local, owner can choose from. So they're given a selection. Typically, in larger markets, say like a McDonald's type organization, or much, very big enterprise franchises, the individual franchisee has little say and control, and there's little transparency in what's going on. But when you work with a multi-location marketing platform, and you're able to not only target but create customized messages for every location, but that is still brand safe and brand approved. So they're given choices,
Mm.
where maybe before they were just handed assets and said, this is what you have to do locally. These are the kind of things you have to put out there that really correspond more with national, and that don't really have that local customization.
Hmm.